You know when you sent in this logic puzzle? I gotta admit, at first I was like, oh, this will be fun, hats, aliens. But the more I
Yeah.
thought about it, the more I was like, wait a minute.
It's a classic for a reason, it really is. It makes you think about
Yeah.
how we use information in a very different way, especially when the stakes are, well,
High stakes.
high, astronomically high, let's just say.
Yeah. You're telling me, okay, so for our listener, imagine this.
Yeah.
You've been beamed up to an alien spaceship, and it turns out your new extraterrestrial hosts, well, they have a thing for human cuisine.
They do, they do. Although with a slightly disturbing caveat, they only want to eat the beings that they don't consider highly logical and cooperative.
So they're judging us on our intelligence, but instead of like handing out gold stars, it's more like get out of jail free cards.
Yeah. Yeah, or a stay of execution,
Right,
perhaps.
exactly.
Yeah.
And the test they've designed, well, let's just say it involves some interesting headwear.
Hats, indeed.
Right, the hats.
Okay.
So you and 9 other captives are lined up, single file, shortest to tallest. You each get a hat. It's totally random, black or white.
And here's where the real challenge comes in. You can see the hats of everyone in front of you, but not your own or anyone behind you.
It's like trying to play chess, but you can only see half the board.
And any attempt to communicate any little signal, a whisper to your fellow captives, well,
That's not good.
let's just say the consequences are less than ideal.
Dinner time takes on a whole new meaning in this scenario.
It does. It really does.
So you got to figure out a way to use pure logic and the bare minimum of communication to avoid becoming the main course.
Which is a pretty tall order when you're staring down a line of, hat-wearing humans and a bunch of very hungry aliens.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so you're in this lineup. Tension's thick enough to cut with a laser beam. You can practically hear those alien stomachs growling. What's the move? Do you just like, I don't know, throw out a random guess? White, black, cross your fingers.
And that's where the real beauty of this puzzle comes in. It seems impossible, right? But there's a solution baked right into the challenge itself. And it all hinges on this really simple concept, powerful though, called parity.
Parody. Okay, I got to be honest. For a second there, my brain went full sci-fi, but you just mean like even or odd, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even or odd. The person at the very back of the line, the one who can see everybody else's hat colors, they're the key. Let's say they see an odd number of black hats in front of them. They call out odd.
Odd. Not, my hat is black. Not, hey, I think we're doomed. Just odd.
Precisely. Now put yourself in the shoes of the second to last prisoner. You can see everyone in front of you, right? But your own situation, total mystery. But you hear that odd ringing out.
So now I'm thinking, okay, odd. That means there's an odd number of black hats total. Let me do a quick count of what I can see.
And that's where the deduction clicks in. If you see an even number of black hats in front of you, yours has got to be black to make the total odd, right? But if you see an odd number ahead, well, then yours must be white to keep that total odd.
Whoa. It's like each person is getting this tiny little piece of the puzzle, but that one piece unlocks their whole situation.
Exactly. Think of
Yeah.
it like a light switch, yeah. The person at the back, they flip that switch based on the total number of black hats. Odd is on, even is off. Each person down the line, they just got to figure out, would my hat flip the switch or keep it the same?
This is blowing my mind. So even though only that first person has a straight 50-50 shot,
Right.
their guess sets off this chain reaction of logic.
And that's what's so cool about this, right? It just so beautifully illustrates the power of inductive reasoning. You're taking these really specific observations of the hats you can actually see and using them to reach a conclusion about your own situation.
And it just shows you how important even one piece of information is. Strategically using it can totally change the whole game. It makes you think that even when it feels like all you've got is a blind guess,
Could be a hidden structure there, some kind of pattern, you just got to decipher it.
Yeah.
And that can lead you right to the answer.
or in this case, to freedom. Okay, I'm definitely feeling smarter just by having this conversation. But I gotta know, does this strategy always work? Like no matter what kind of hat arrangement those aliens cook up.
That's the really elegant part. It does. It always works. Doesn't matter what those aliens do, how they arrange the hats, that first odd or even, that's the key.
It's like the first domino.
Exactly.
Everything else falls into place after that.
It sets the whole chain reaction in motion. It's like saying, here's the pattern. Now everybody else just has to figure out where they fit in.
Yeah. Okay, so we've been talking about, hats and aliens this whole time, but this whole idea of information transfer, how do you use just this tiny amount of communication to convey something really complex?
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be useful in, beyond just avoiding becoming a snack for some aliens.
Right. Oh, Absolutely. Think about it. We do this all the time without even realizing it. Every time you make a decision and you don't have all the information, which, let's face it, is most of the time, you're using these same principles.
It's true. It's like when you're trying to figure out what your friend's really thinking, or you're in a meeting and you're trying to read between the lines of what your coworker's saying.
Exactly. And this puzzle, it's like it takes all of that, those everyday situations, and boils them down to the core concept.
It shows you how important it is to not just, I don't know, take in information,
Yeah.
but to understand, like, what's the context? What are the unspoken rules? What are they not saying?
It's like learning a whole new language, the language of logic and deduction.
And that's so important, especially now.
In a world where we are just
Inundated.
inundated with information and figuring out how to cut through all that noise, figure out what really matters, that's a superpower.
Totally. It really makes you think, what does it even mean to be intelligent? Is it just, knowing a bunch of stuff?
Right.
Or is it more about being able to, like, adapt and be resourceful and think critically, even when you're facing some impossible problem?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And I don't think there's one right answer, but I think puzzles like this, they help us think about it, stretch our brains a little bit and maybe come out a little bit smarter.
Well said. So to our listener, next time you come up against the challenge and it seems impossible, just remember those hat-wearing prisoners. Remember the power of that one well-placed piece of information. You might be surprised what you can figure out. This has been an awesome deep dive.
It has.
I feel much more ready to outsmart some hungry aliens now,
There you go.
hat-wearing or otherwise. Until next time.